And now back to Just Energy Radio with Dr. Rita Louise.
Hello and welcome back to Just Energy Radio. I'm your host, Dr. Rita Louise, and thank you all for staying tuned to the second hour of the show. Just Energy Radio is brought to you by the Institute of Applied Energetics. That's www.appliedenergeticsinstitute.com, where you can learn how to open yourself up to become a medical intuitive counselor, or energy medicine practitioner, all from the comfort of your own home. So you can jumpstart your intuition today by downloading our free 50-page guide. That's at www.appliedenergeticsinstitute.com. So this hour we're going to be speaking to Ken Elliott about his book, Manifesting 123, and he has revolutionized the whole concept of manifesting what you want into your life. But let me tell you a little bit about Ken and get him on the air. Ken Elliott is an artist and writer living in Castle Rock, Colorado. He has been on a dual track for over 25 years as an accomplished artist and as someone who has experienced and collected astonishing stories. Ken was uniquely and convincingly shown how to make changes in his life and in those of others. He enjoys passing this valuable information on to individuals and groups just like you. Hoo-hoo. So please welcome the author of the book, Manifesting 123, Ken Elliott. Hey, Ken, how are you?
I'm doing wonderfully.
Well, I'm just so excited that you're on the show. I take it you made it home safe and sound and didn't get stuck in airport hell?
No, it was a piece of cake. I flew out of Houston and I see you're from Marshall, Texas. I was just looking at that. So I know that place.
You do?
I grew up in Houston. So Marshall was one of those drive-through towns on my way to somewhere else. But the best Mexican food in the world there. Best donuts, too, but don't tell anybody.
At the donut and kolache place? I mean, there's like 5 of them here. So.
Oh, my gosh, yes. I'm not going to name drop brand names here, but oh, my God.
All right, well, you'll have to, send me a message in Skype or something. And
I will.
Okay, cool. So, Ken, tell us a little bit about you. You know, what got you interested in writing this book, Manifesting 123, and, just to let the listeners get an idea of who you are, what makes you tick?
Well, I really wasn't interested in writing this book. I'm not a writer. I had a nice background, education, this and that, but, I was just a happy-go-lucky guy in Texas and then on to California, and I was living a nice life, and until I discovered that I had a rather serious issue. Could be anything. We all have them. Issues are like tissues, we have a box full of those things sometimes. And I was really drowning in this thing, and I had begun to remember some dreams, very interesting dreams. People call them woo-woo dreams or metaphysical dreams. So I went to a metaphysical bookstore. Of course, I waited until everybody cleared out of there because I didn't want to be seen in this place. And I asked the owner some questions and got a book or two and read a couple things. And I decided that because of this issue, I needed a psychic. I'd tried other things and it just wasn't working. It was making a wreck out of my life. So I contacted the author of one of these books I had picked up and asked her for the name of the most gifted person in the country. And this person lectured and had books and this and that. So I thought she would be a good source. And she said, "You call Judy Goodman." And I don't know why.
She didn't say call me?
She said call Judy Goodman.
Not
Judy
me?
Goodman.
No, me?
Not you. She didn't know you.
Oh, man.
I know.
What's with that?
She lived in Dallas. What was she thinking?
I know. It might have been before I lived there. So
Yeah. This goes back 20 years. So I called up this Judy Goodman. Well, I asked the author, where's her information come from? And the woman said, her information comes right from the top. Is that good enough for you? And I got some severe shakes. We had a wall phone. As they say in East Texas, I had severe shakes. And I was really shaking when I hung up that phone and pushed to the new number. And Judy answered the phone. And we just connected like we've known each other forever, which turns out we have. And so she helped me get that together as best she could. Did a good job. The rest was up to me. And it's something I didn't sign up for is I started having a lot more phenomena. And I was learning a bit about how things work from this very, very gifted person. Now, I don't want to say that like I'm an authority that knows everything about how it works. But I was getting some inside ball. I was getting a window into how things go around, how what's going on in the seen and unseen worlds, cause and effect. And early on, after spending a lot of time with Judy on the phone, I got a call from a stranger, and she asked me if I knew who Judy was, and I said, "Well, she's a psychic." And she said, "Oh, no, no, no. I mean, Judy's just much, much more than that." And she started telling me some of these things that Judy could do, which were really way out there, although I knew a little bit about this stuff. But he showed me one thing in particular that I'd never heard before. And she said that if you send Judy something in thought, she'll get it. And I said, "What do you mean she'll get it?" And she explained that she had sent Judy a bouquet of flowers about a year before for her birthday, and checked up with Judy later on that. And Judy did indeed get the bouquet of flowers this person sent by using her thought. Now, we couldn't see that bouquet of flowers, but Judy is sensitive enough that she could see what was sent on the other side as someone who has psychic vision. Well, I thought that was pretty interesting, fascinating. And Judy had a birthday coming up within a few days, and I called her up and asked her if I could send her something in thought. And long story short, I did. It's all in the book. And I did this many, many times over a 20-year period. And also another person I came to know, we became very close friends, William Buhlman, Buhlman, who has written some of the best-selling books on how to go out of body on purpose. He would tell me that he would sometimes see the things on his list, his wish list, he would see them forming up on the other side. And I did a thing with Judy after many, many episodes of sending her things in thought. And I got her on the phone in real time and sent her something and I didn't tell her what it was. And in 6 minutes, I had sent her a very complicated object. It was the intention was a 5-foot-tall Daffy Duck, and the chair with her that had a handmade sign that said love at the top of it. And she got the 2.5-foot version because I hadn't put a lot of time in it. But that stunned me, and it changed everything, because there are manifesting books stacked up to your eyebrows. And I didn't know what this was about until I saw The Secret, the movie that was very popular, sold millions and millions and millions of books and DVDs around the world. Very important movie and very empowering for a lot of people. And when I saw that, I went, oh my God, I know what these people are talking about, but I know something they don't know. I know what happens when you think of something. I know how it forms up from a vapor.
Okay,
and if you
stop
stay
right there. Stop
okay.
right there.
Yeah.
We're going to come back to that, okay? Or make sure we come back to that, okay? Because you're talking about The Secret, and that was one of the things that I wanted to kind of discuss, and I figure, well, since you brought it up, I might as well add on.
Sure.
Because I think a lot of people saw the movie or read the book and never achieved any results. I mean, were they doing something wrong, or was there not enough information provided in the information that they gave? What was going on?
It comes at you in a lot of... It sounds
like you... Mm-hmm. Oh, go ahead. I'm going to be quiet.
I'm sorry. No, go ahead. It sounds like I...
You know where I'm going, so I'm just going to not be wordy.
All right. Well, it comes at you in a lot of ways. I have a lot of different people who had written about it, lectured about manifesting. And it really all comes down to us looking at that light switch on the wall, and we don't know anything about electricity, but when you hit that light switch, the lights come on. Hit it the other way, the lights go off. And we don't have a clue how this works, but isn't it nice that it happens? And we don't hope and pray and do ceremonies about the light switch going on and off in the hopes that it would improve its accuracy. It just does what it does. And in The Secret, it was like a lot of people, and this has happened over time. We've all had these conversations with a little wine and cheese or sitting up late at night, and we discuss what's the best way to have your prayers answered or your wish list or vision board done. Now, I can't tell you that I know what happens in the prayer department. I haven't had a tour of the offices up there. They have their own way of doing things, but in terms of manifesting, your thoughts literally make things. And so we've been going around for a long time trying to figure out best practices. We've observed that thoughts seem to have an effect. And so somebody will say, well, if you watch what you say and have happy thoughts, and somebody else will say, well, if you do these vision boards or make these lists. So it comes at you in a lot of ways, a lot of different techniques, a lot of different angles on how to make your thoughts do what you want them to do, how to make your intentions real. And it gets a little confusing for some people. There's a thread through there, a big theme, so it's not hard to pick up, but it's easy to get lost off to the side. And this book is incredibly important because at the core of it, it's just very, very simple. Your thoughts literally do build something like you would make a little hut, a little house, like you would bake a cake. You put these ingredients in, and it actually starts to build. And that's a game changer because every time before we've been hoping and waiting and try to use best practices to get a result. But we are experts in thought. And to give you a perfect analogy, you pick up that coffee cup you've got sitting around or whatever it is and hold it off over the table. And I declare you a master at gravity. Well, if you let that go, it's going to go to the ground. You don't use that as a party trick. Everybody knows how to do that. Gravity just makes things go to the ground. It's a natural law. That's all it does. And it doesn't judge if you're a good person or a bad person. It just takes things to the ground. And your thoughts make things. And I get on the phone with people who can see those things developing or fully formed on the other side. And all thoughts do is make what you think. And it does it if you believe this or not. It does it if you are a happy person or a bad person. It's just like gravity. Gravity doesn't judge if you're going to do something good or bad with the law of gravity. It will just do it every time. That is fundamentally new and incredibly important, and it informs and describes how everything in your life is made. That's a big deal.
But what about, because my feeling has been that there needs to be there are a number of different elements, but, one key element was an emotional element, a desire, a feeling to tie to the thought, where if you have a thought, I can think about a hamburger, but do I really want to manifest a hamburger? That it needs to go deeper. It needs to come more, maybe the way I want to say it needs to come more from the soul or more from the heart.
I agree. And you've nailed a couple of important points. And coming back around to The Secret, one of the things that is not discussed there is as much as I would like. And I don't know if it's discussed at all. I'm sure somebody touched on it. There's so many people in that movie. But in the book, the 1, 2, 3, the number one, quite simply, is your thoughts make things, to make a long story short. And number 2, it's how to deal with fear. And part of the number 1 and part of the bonus that I say there is in the book, manifesting 1, 2, 3, and there's a bonus. The bonus is, and it's sprinkled throughout the book, is gratitude. There's 2 basic forces at work, and one is a positive, the other is a negative. One is love, and one is fear. And when you're manifesting those happy things with your thought, I go to great effort to say in the book that after every scene, and I call this technique the movie, because you're going to go into your future and manifest things that have already happened in your future. Your thoughts can create your future. And it's quite simple. So in every scene in your future, you simply say, I'm very grateful. And you may feel that emotionally very deeply, or you may not, since you do it every day. But that expression of gratitude, and you're grateful to the God of your understanding, the nature goddess, whatever it is, you're grateful for this future that you have already built in your mind, and it's building as you speak it. So gratitude is a thing that is the 220 socket. That's that big plug that the washing machine is plugged into, and that will really accelerate and magnify this simple thought you have in your head. And you plug it into gratitude, it becomes much, much more powerful exponentially. On the other hand, your fears, your worries, are thoughts too. And since thought doesn't judge, it'll just merely make away anything you want. I'm afraid of flying in airplanes. I'm afraid I'm going to get fired. I'm afraid I can't get the rent paid. And it will just happily just churn that out for you. And because this is a worry, it is empowered by the other great theme, power of the universe, fear. And it will just make that just as readily as the happy things. So you could be manifesting your perfect job, your perfect career, I prefer to say. And then on the other hand, you can be saying, I'm so worried that I'm just not worthy of this job, or if I get it, I'll probably get fired. And you're manifesting two different things. You may get the perfect job, and 6 weeks you're fired. Well, congratulations. You have successfully manifested two very different things. One of them you would want, the other one you don't want to get near. So in the book, the number 2, finally, it's come up where there's a way to deal with fear, and it's very, very simple. Virtually all the books that came before, in a word or two, they will just say, well, try not to worry about it. Diminish it. Well, that's hard to do when the rent's due in a couple of days. So there was something that literally fell out of the sky for me. It was just put into my head, and it completed this book. Once I had a way to understand fear and put it out there where people could deal with their fears in a way that could empower them, which is an amazing thing to be able to do, to empower those fears.
And so I'm assuming that this is like not a Xanax kind of cure.
Not a what? I'm sorry?
Xanax kind of cure? You know, like, here, take 2 Xanax, call me in the morning thing?
Yeah, it's a 6-pack cure. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and I've used that expression, Xanax. That's up the ladder from what I was doing. Yeah. You're going to deal with it. You're going to take it head on. You're going to use it. You're going to make it work for you. And you're not going to have fear in it. And I wasn't bright enough to think about that. It was what you would call a download. And I was very afraid at the time because I got my perfect house with a major mortgage that was coming due in about a dozen days or so. And I've never been so worried about money in my life. And I couldn't come up with a way to deal with that fear. And I knew that fear was being manufactured over there in my field. My friends would be able to see it. So after trying everything I could, at the end of the day, my mind just went blank, and boom, it came in. And I realized at that point I had a book to write because I had something important to say. I had new information about how thoughts are actually made. Going back to the light switch, when you flip the switch, it's not a big deal for you because you know there's a power plant and your switch is connected to that. When you get water out of the sink, you know the water coming out of the faucet comes from the waterworks. So it's not a big deal. With this book, now you know how thought is made. And that is a game changer. There's no more mystery, no more hoping and waiting. And then when I had the solution to fear, I knew there was something that I felt obligated to get out into the world. And the book wrote itself, and I had a copy in my hand in 5 weeks.
Don't you love when that happens?
I do.
You love when that happens. So do you consider, you're addressing the fear part. Mm-hmm. So do you consider the download of the book the answer to the manifestation question in the first place? Or, the answer to, was the end result of you manifesting the money for your house thing?
Mm-hmm.
That made sense, kind of, in a very weird way.
I think I get it. It seems more like a meant to be rather than I manifested the solution to a book, because I wasn't trying to really make a solution to the book.
Well, I don't mean no, but this book was the solution to what you were putting out the energy to resolve in the first place.
Oh my gosh, it was huge for me. Yeah. I don't have worries anymore. I have concerns. And there may be a time when that concern is a little bigger than a small concern, but I don't empower it as a fearful worry. I'm not the brightest bulb in the world, but I'm pretty smart about not using fear to make stuff. Because we can do that, and I've done that in the past, and we're all very masterful at doing that sort of thing. This ability to use your thought to make things is your birthright. You're born with it. It's a great gift. And maybe you haven't heard that before, but it is yours, and you've been doing it all your life. And wherever you are in your life, congratulations, because you have built this. Now, if you are in a position because of something that somebody else did, then that's kind of like you've been going down the interstate and you haven't had your hand on the wheel, or somebody else has been driving it for you. I would urge you to put your hands on the wheel and point yourself where you want to go. And once you use your thoughts that way, and you've been doing it anyway, this is not hard, and you say you want to go to this happy place, you're very grateful that is happening for you, then that's where you go. That's where you go. And on my website, manifesting123.com, you get on the newsletter, and there's a story that comes out every Friday from a reader from somewhere. And there's close to 100 stories up there, and some are whoppers, and some are a little more above every day. But they're very encouraging stories, and there's no one who has been especially trained or incredibly gifted to make this happen. Everybody has equal access and equal ability to use their thoughts to make things. It's the world we live in, but it hasn't been offered in a way like this before.
Okay, so I'm gonna have you like solve all my manifesting issues, because I know that I know I'm good at manifesting. Although I know I'm also good at sabotaging myself. So I'm going to own that. I mean, I totally own it, you know, and sometimes I actually catch myself, and it's usually too late at that point in time. But, you know, we'll just go with the manifesting part. Okay. Can we end up inadvertently sabotaging ourselves because we have too many things on our plate? And what's kind of in the forefront is overpowering other things that we want to manifest, but they aren't really in our control or power.
Well, let's look at it this way. Get a shopping cart, and let's go to the store. And you go to the soup aisle to get some soup, and you go over here and you get some of this and some of that, and you have 15 different things in your shopping cart.
And now I can't go through the express lane anymore.
I was just going to say that. I messed up the numbers. So thanks for putting the joke in there. Yeah, I messed that up. I haven't used that analogy before, but I thought about the express lane too. So all of those things are individual items, and your thoughts are individual items as well. So sabotaging, it goes back to that thing where you get the perfect job and then you get fired. Those are like two different things. Yes, they can bleed over, and you can certainly sabotage things, but it's easier to think of these thoughts as discrete items. And if you think of something every day, it's beginning to build around you. It's forming up, and it will look like smoke to my gifted friends. And this is not in the literature until now. It will take on it's like a smoke or vapor. It gets a little more solid. It gets a little more 3D. It gets a blush of color. Then it gets really solid, super 3D, super physical looking, full color, and it's coming into the physical world. And that's how thought makes things. Your thoughts interact with something in the field around you, and it just makes stuff. Now, if you are thinking about a pink elephant every once in a while, you daydream and think of this thing and that thing, it's not going to form up because you don't get up every day to think about that. But if you're afraid of something, afraid of that mortgage, afraid of this and that, or if you go after those happy things every day, it's going to form up. So you have a lot of things in your basket that you can make. And you can clean that up a little bit by being smart. You can say something like, and let's go into our future with this. This is the number one. Your thoughts can make the future. So let's get this clearly stated here. You can say that you're sitting in your couch in your future. And in your future, you're in your perfect home. You didn't say what street it's on, how many square feet it is, what the kitchen looks like, this and that. You know, if it's Christmas Day and you look under the tree and you open that package, and if it's something perfect, you recognize it as perfect. We all know what perfect is on contact. So instead of putting out this big list, and your thought is very, very, very literal over there. So if you make a big list of all these things to do, well, it has to make all of that. Why not just say the result? I'm in my future and I'm in my perfect house, and I'm so grateful. I'm in my future and I have perfect health, and I'm so very grateful. You don't have to see the absence of hospitals. Now, I don't want to exceed expectations here, but I just talked with someone a week ago, and they had a pain. It created a little limp. And they would go into their future, and they had perfect health. Well, they came back and told me, and it didn't take too long for them, much to our surprise. Why are we ever surprised about this stuff? And they said, that pain was much diminished. And is it perfect? No, but you know what? I'm really fine with it. It doesn't get in my way anymore. I'm very, very happy with the result. I'm very grateful. So that was good enough. But it's okay to say perfect. That was perfect enough. How's that?
Oh, back to me, huh? Sorry, I was writing some notes down because you kind of got me. I'm still stuck on the shopping cart. Sorry.
Yeah, well, let's do it another way.
Okay, well, no. So, this is kind of my vision. I have this shopping cart, and it's not like I have a bunch of the same things. I have some fruit, I have some meat, I have light bulbs, I have some laundry detergent, frying pan, a loaf of bread, and that loaf of bread was like the first thing I picked up because, that was really what I needed or thought I needed. And, that's like smashed on the bottom somewhere, and you have all this stuff in here, and it's not that you've necessarily lost sight of any of these things, but is it possible that you have so much? I mean, if you knew me better, you would know I have a lot on my plate and I tend to go in a lot of different directions. And can doing something like that undermine you?
Why would it? If your thoughts can make anything, why would having a lot of things be any different from having a few things? Your thoughts just make things.
Well, then I should have like tons of stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, then I'm going to ask you in a different way. See, I'm just like having you all right.
Yeah, I love it.
There are people that say, based on manifestation, and I'm going to use the God word, in the general sense of the word, that sometimes God doesn't manifest what you ask for because you're not ready for it, and not coming from a fear place, but it's not, karmically time for you to have it, or in God's time, not yours. I like that statement. In God's time, yours. I mean, how do you feel about that whole idea?
Well, there's part of that I'm going to put into the prayer department, as I used as a disclaimer earlier. I haven't had a tour of that office, but I would say if you're 14 years old and you are praying for, that's one way, or in another way where you're perfectly empowered to do this on your own. You're empowered to do this on your own. You're 14 years old and you've got a vision board with Maseratis on it, and you have Maseratis on your wish list. Well, it's highly likely that you're going to get that Maserati, but it might not come in the form of something you're going to drive as a 14-year-old. You might be driven around in one. Now, if it goes up to the prayer department, and this is just pure speculation on my part, going back into that God's time, maybe that is put on a shelf for you And when you're capable enough to handle a Maserati, say when you turn 16, 17, 18, whatever,
Right.
then you become eligible. It's there for you. And now, there's also things that happen when you're manifesting, and people are concerned a lot about money. I only have so many hours in the day. They only give me so many hours a week, so I'm up against the wall. This is all I can make. But there is the equivalent of the Maserati. There is the equivalent of getting more income. And sometimes it comes because your rent drops. You get a better place for less money. You refinance the house. You get a refund. Money comes in a lot of different ways that's not cash. That's not something that comes from that check you get from your employer. And it may be that you'll never own a Maserati, but you get to ride in one. Well, that's good enough. And who'd want to keep up with that thing anyway, unless you're a zillionaire? So when you're manifesting things, think smart. So you have a grocery basket full of things, but really you could say that in my future, I'm in my perfect home with my perfect partner.
I'm in the mansion. Come on.
Yeah, well, that's perfect for you. And if for somebody else, there better be a man in that mansion, and you have that too. So so far, so good. And you can say, I'm in my future, and I'm living very comfortably. Without specifying everything in that grocery cart, you're simply living very comfortably in your future, and you didn't specify what it was. But you're very happy with that result. You're very grateful.
Mm-hmm.
Another analogy is people will say, well, I want that perfect job, but I've got to get a new wardrobe, and I've got to get some tires in the car, and I better get a new hairdo, and this thing and that thing. Well, your thoughts have to build all those things before you get the perfect job, as you specified. So let's not do that. Just say the perfect job, and let it go to work on that. Now, people call this a universe, this and that. To me, it just seems simpler than that. There's something in the field. It's not my chemistry set, and it's not yours. It comes from somewhere, or maybe it occurred naturally, but I'm very grateful for that chemistry set, whoever's in charge of that thing. And when I think of something, it immediately starts to form. And I've been on the phone real time with my friend Judy Goodman, and she watches it happen 2,200 miles away, because I can project that thought into her living room. There's nothing impossible with thought.
All right, I have another question. And I think this kind of applies to just about everyone. Anyway, I'm conjuring up a question for you.
Mm-hmm. I'm getting the shivers.
I mean, could it be, when it's not working for you, mm-hmm. could it be that what you're asking for, you just really don't want when it comes down to the bottom line?
So you're asking for something, but you really don't want it?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay. Well,
because, all right, I'll give you an example. I do psychic readings, so I have women that come and they got, they want to know when they're going to get in a relationship. And I'll look mm-hmm. at them and I'll be like, but you don't even want one. It's like, well, yeah, I know, but when am I going to get in one? No lie. True. More than 5 or 6 times. And it's like, well, why don't you just give yourself a break on that, because you don't even want one.
Yeah.
But they work on it, and they try to manifest it. But yeah.
Well, it's kind of like it's a 25-cent slot machine, and you keep putting pennies in it. What do you think it's going to do? If you have a wimpy thought, you're going to get a wimpy result, or no result at all. So if you have a thought and you want this to become something, then you consciously touch that thing every day. Thoughts are real, and they form things. And to build on that thought, you keep adding more layers of intention to the thought. If you want to make a clubhouse, you've got to get more 2x4s and more nails and more hammers and more saws. You got to pile it on to make that little structure. So with your thoughts, you have to do the same thing. You can't just have a one-off thought of a pink elephant and expect to have one appear in your living room. And thank God that's the way it works. Or we'd have all these stupid little dumb things that we think of. It'd be stacking up all over our life. So if
There'd be a lot of dead people. What are you talking about?
Yeah, particularly in
people
traffic.
With knives in their backs, holes in their heads. They're going to be crazy.
Oh, my God. Yeah. Nightmare. So, yeah, that's a nice little system we've got here. You have to want it, and you keep touching it. It's kind of like this. You take a piece of Xerox paper, and you have the ability, let's say, to lay it on the other side. Your thoughts will make a piece of Xerox paper. And every day you think of that thing. You think of that thing. You think of that thing. I need that new car. Now, new to you might be a used new car, but new. It's my perfect car. That means perfect means you can afford it and you love it. It's perfect. So every day you're thinking of that perfect car. And it's like laying one sheet of Xerox paper over there with a picture of that car on it. And after days and weeks and months, well, you've got, 10 reams of Xerox paper over there. It's heavy as heck. It becomes so solidly physical, it comes into your world. And it looks miraculous sometimes. Sometimes it happens fast. Sometimes it happens slow. But you're going to get a result. You're just going to, because that's what thoughts do. And again, it doesn't matter if you believe this silly man on the radio or not. It's going to happen anyway. And water running downhill is not dependent upon your belief system of gravity. Gravity is going to bring water downhill, and you better get out of the way or it'll run over you. It doesn't matter if you believe in gravity or not, or if you're a good person or bad person. Your thoughts just make things. That's all it does. It's just too simple to be true. But you want to control those fears because those are thoughts too. That's the number 2. And quite briefly, the number 3, and you don't need number 3, it's a description of how powerful you are. Again, it doesn't matter if you believe it or not. But don't think you have to suit up and be a perfect person, Superman or Supergirl, to sit down and start doing your manifesting. A kid can do this, and they do. They do this very well if you'll look under the Christmas tree every year. So the number 3 is not necessary. The number 3 saying that you're big and powerful, you don't have to sit down and try to be big and powerful. You already are. And there's no way you can, you don't have to get into that zone. I don't even know how to be my higher self or this all-powerful person that I'm describing that we're born to be. Just do the number 1. You create it in your future and you're very grateful. Number 2, control that fear. You turn those into action items, counter items, It's simple, but we're out of time to describe it here. It's all in the book. And it's there on other radio shows. I give it all away for free on my website. Just go up to the media page and look at other radio shows, and you'll see me dive into those subjects. This is your birthright, and I'm not going to be caught red-handed charging you $14.95 to explain what is already yours. And yes, there's great information in the book, but you can go up there to my website and get absolutely for nothing.
Okay, so different question.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a wish.
Good.
And I don't have any negative thoughts about it.
Mm-hmm.
Will it just show up at my door, or do I have to, is there work required?
Oh, man, great question. Oh, I love that. Okay, so you are going to manifest the widget something. Well, it's that perfect partner. It's that woman. It's that man. It's not going to fit in the UPS box. It might be the UPS driver. That could happen, but the perfect partner may not come in over the phone. So now that you have made yourself a target of this perfect person in your life, which is quite an important thing, then you need to get out more. You can't sit around all day long manifesting. You only need to do this once a day. And then you need to just say yes more. Somebody will call and say, well, we got this little party down the street, and you're shaking your head, and I don't want to drive out there. And you just say yes, and you show up because you don't know what's going to happen. And you have become a target for the thing that you're manifesting in your future. So you need to get outside a little more. You need to move around a little bit, maybe more than you have been, and let it come to you. because it can't all fit through the mailbox slot.
You mean it won't come in my email or on Facebook?
It could. It could. It could. And that's just a matter of getting up and just being aware and maybe looking at that more often. You don't have to be some sort of demon about this stuff and cover the world with this thing, but just the act of moving around a little bit, it increases your odds. You are going to get a result. And yes, it can come to you in impossible ways if that's what it takes. But help it out. And remember, if it's in terms of that perfect partner, they're trying to meet you halfway anyway. So get out and move around a little bit. You never know. Look at the email. Answer the phone calls. Yeah. Be out in the world a bit more.
Well, yeah, especially if you want to create a relationship, because it's like, well, all I do is work and go home. It's like, I don't know anyone that's met. I'll ask you, have you ever met someone who has actually met someone in a supermarket and has dated them? I don't know anybody.
In a supermarket?
Yeah.
In San Francisco, there was the great story about, they don't have a lot of, it's just a 7-by-7 square mile place, so there's not a lot of footprints for big supermarkets. There's one in the Marina District by the water. And the big joke there was that was a great place to meet people in the produce section, if you like vegetarians or people eat healthy or elsewhere. And that was a hangout. That was before Starbucks and the internet. It was the Safeway at the Marina in San Francisco. Yeah, that happens a lot over there. Became famous for that.
Yeah, so anyway, what about affirmations? I mean, there are a lot of people that think, doing affirmations or even the vision board, you've mentioned that. I mean, how valuable do you find that as a tool? I think also with people when we're talking about manifesting, a lot of times we don't even realize that we ask for something or wish for something or hope for something or dream for something, and then we get it. We often don't even validate or recognize that it was in our thoughts. Marco in the chat room put, Rita, manifest him back.
Yeah, I just dropped
and
out.
I did. Poof.
Yes, you did. Yeah, I was just saying, my hats off to Mike on using the future as one of the techniques that's been out in the literature, and he got on that pony and does a good job with it. Where this goes a little further is how to deal with fear, which is better than I've seen. And at the core of this book, stripping everything else away, at the core of this book, the bottom fundamental idea here is that your thoughts are not only real, but in the book it describes how they're actually formed. And that is essentially saying there is a power plant that's connected to your light switch, and here's what the power plant looks like, and this is what it does. So it takes the guesswork and the hope and waiting out of this thing. You're building it. You're building it. You're building it. And you're building it.
Okay, so I'm going to try this, and I'll let you know if I have these super cool results.
Well, you can have super bad results. Which way you want to go?
Well, I'm tired of the bad results. Actually, I've gotten a lot better with the bad results, and well, no, I'll share this with you. You'll appreciate it. My listeners will just shake their heads. So, my boyfriend's children came to visit. So we went to pick them up at the airport. First time in Shreveport, Louisiana. Sitting outside the airport, waiting for them to fly in, my car dies in Shreveport. So have to deal with that. End up, taking a cab back home, calling a tow company to have my car towed. It's 9:00 at night. I mean, it's just a nightmare. So that was day one. So then they get here, new house, bought a lawnmower, didn't have a lawnmower before, used it one time, it got stolen within 24 hours. Then my washing machine decided it wasn't going to work. I don't know, there were a couple of other weird and odd and assorted things that happened all in the course of a week. It's my life, and I just, now laugh at it. It's like, okay, now what?
Did you buy one of those voodoo candles in the airport gift shop?
No.
Okay.
No,
I'm just checking.
Not.
Awfully close to New Orleans down there. I wonder what they had in the gift shop there you walked home with. Well, Yeah, that's crazy. You know, when that stuff happens to me like that, and it tends to happen in strings, I'll just stop and I'll go, "Oh, I'm in school today. Well,
Hmm.
I'm gonna get an A in this." And I'm not stupid. I don't say bring it on. But here comes another one. Here comes another one. Here comes okay, 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 okay. And the next day's a better day. Somehow I get through it. Um,
I mean,
it's
I
not
was
like
actually very proud of myself for not freaking out too much. I mean, a little bit. I mean, but I've had this happen before, bathroom break, big flood, then my big screen $2,000 TV blows up, of course, 1 month out of warranty, and my microwave goes, the tree, I had this giant branch fell out that I had to call, they were like talking about taking the tree out, all in
hmm
like the course of like 2 weeks, and it's like, really?
hmm
Really?
Well, I'll offer something around that.
Okay.
In my future, my time is perfectly synchronized between what I'm here to do, and I'm here with you doing it now. I'm a well-established artist, but that's my cover story, so to speak. So in my future, my time is perfectly synchronized between what I'm here to do, my careers, I have more than one, relationships, families, friends, all that, and my personal time. Also, and I'm so grateful for that, by the way, and that's magical. I see that every day. That's proof of concept that this works to me, being in what I call my magical kin time. And people spot that. They see that. Another thing, my future, my bills are, I shouldn't say bills, my expenses are paid a year in advance and indefinitely forward. So if I have a string of problems, the washing machine, this thing and that thing, okay, well, I can just pull out the checkbook and it'll get paid for. And by the way, it doesn't screw up my schedule because I have synchronized time. Now that just sounds just too silly to be true, but try out that synchronized time bit. That doesn't have a lot of moving parts, and that seems to happen pretty quickly for people. The money thing, there's money, there's equivalent of money. You get a reduction in all those expenses, or maybe something to come in a few days before, and it doesn't matter if the washing machine broke because you've got the money to pay for it. It's that kind of thing. So it's remarkable how these things can work out, and you use your thoughts in a very smart way to mold the life that you want.
Yeah, but it does suck that you got the money a few days before and now you have to spend it on a washing machine. The killer was the new lawnmower. It's like it's just a freaking lawnmower. I don't even care about the lawn. I mean, I do, but I could be buying myself like $500 worth of clothes with that money, not
Oh,
new lawnmower.
I know. We'll make him dress it up in some nice clothes, some old clothes, or use it to
I'll
dry
just
your clothes
paint
out
it so
on or
that,
something.
if anybody steals it, it would be obvious that.
Oh. Yeah, the workaround. Find the workaround. Don't get in the weeds on these little things. In your future, remember your future has already happened. In your future, you observe that you don't have these issues or problems. Do not take your poop into the future. Okay, you got something that you don't like around here. You go in your future. It does not exist. I'm driving down the street. I get this phone call. It's not good news. I put the phone down. And I say, I point at that phone with my finger and say, in my future tomorrow, you do not exist. And that's exactly what I do. I make sure that problem is not my future the next day when I start developing my future scenario again. It's
Because you
terribly
do that
easy.
every day.
Every day. Now, if I forget, I don't worry about it. I don't beat myself up. But I've had my friend Judy call me and tell me, thank goodness I have a buddy like Judy, she'll say something's going to happen tomorrow. She can see it coming into, it gets so solid, it bleeds over. Now, one time it wasn't good news. And that heads up wasn't very helpful, but she let me know. And I said, I took care of that. She said, no, oh, no, you did not, because it's coming over tomorrow. Get ready. Now, another time I had a nice business plan. It was a website idea, very complex. It was going to be very difficult to manage this sort of idea. And I was working on that every day for a long time. And I decided I'm going to shift off of that and let that go. So I stopped manifesting it every day. I got a call from Judy, I don't know, 6 weeks down the road. She said, do you care about this business idea anymore? And I said, no, not really. I'm letting it go. She said, it was almost there, but it's really going back to smoke now. So I saw it the other day. I want to give you a heads up. I said, no, let it go. No, I'm not going to work on it anymore. She said, okay, it's going back to nothing. I said, that's fine. Let it go. You can make it,
I'm
and you can let it go.
looking at the clock, and we need to unmanifest our time together.
Okay. But I'd love to make more. You're too fun.
Well, thanks a lot. You are too.
Thank you.
So we're going to, if somebody wants your book at all the normal outlets, Amazon, blah, blah.
Yeah, online, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all of that. It's also available as a Kindle, iPad, electronic reader. It's also available as a CD that plays only on MP3 players, and I just dictate the whole book, and that's a lot of fun for the people that don't want to read it. And again, you can go to Manifesting 123 and look around. Please get on that newsletter. You'll see these stories coming out every Friday, and read those stories if you wish. It's more entertaining than Batman 5 and or 12, where we are now. And get the book or listen to more of these radio interviews. I literally give it all away for free. There is more information in the book. It's more solid.
Okay.
But you have everything you need. Go get them. And I'd love to hear from you when it happens.
Well, Ken, I'm going to let you go.
Thank you.
You have a great night and a wonderful weekend, and I hope all your manifesting comes true, but I know it will, so ha-ha.
It's in my future, and it already has.
That's right.
Thank you very much.
All right, good night.
Good night. Thank you.
You're welcome. That's
Bye-bye.
Ken Elliott. His webpage is www.manifesting123.com. His book is Manifesting 123. And next week we have Dimitri Morales talking about communicating with the divine, and David Roundtree, do evil ghosts exist? So until next week, I'm Dr. Rita Louise. This is Just Energy Radio. Be blessed.
Join host Dr. Rita Louise each week at this time for Just Energy Radio. Point your browser to